we're going to look at last week's assignments, and then we're going to talk about the class project and kind of brainstorm some ideas there. And then I'm going to send you on your way to work on that, right? So that's what I have planned for today. Let's see. What time is it? 7:37. A couple more minutes and then we'll go. Let's see. All right. So to the first thing I mentioned, showing me your projects. Who has theirs open and would like to show it off?
I've got mine open if you want to see it.
Sure. One thing I'm interested if you share it with me, if it shares it with everybody. So we're about to find out. All right. So
All right.
I don't know if there's an option to share with everyone. You can tell us because I've only hosted these things. I haven't. All right. Can you all see that? Yep. So Katie. So everybody can see it. That's cool.
Do you want it maximized on play?
Sure. Why not? Blow us away with your handiwork here. Yeah, just walk us through it. Yep. Cool. That's cool.
So I added some texturing and some normal mapping, some bump mapping. So if you walk up to it, you'll be able to see it's kind of textured there.
I like it.
Just a regular. I guess I kind of did the same thing with the grass. I bump mapped it.
Cool.
So it's like it's got a little depth. When you walk into the trees, you collide with them.
Sweet.
But I didn't really add a lot because I'm not sure what we're going for yet. But
that's fine.
It seemed to work pretty well for me.
Cool. Yeah, I'm pleased. That's awesome. That'll work. That's a start. I mean, like I said, I wasn't expecting world-changing things here yet. So, yeah, that'll work. So I'm just going to take notes on who did this, right? So, all right, sweet. Anybody else have theirs ready to show? Anybody at all?
I've got mine.
All right, let's see it.
All right. I'm not sure how to share this, so give me a second. Okay.
Awesome.
I couldn't get a first-person controller in there, but...
Oh, really? Why not?
It wouldn't work for me for some reason.
Oh, to give you those errors?
Yeah.
What version are you using?
I think it's the most recent one.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. I don't know. I mean, you would think, having purchased it, that they would make the things they purchased work with their new versions of Unity, but I'm bumped down to 2018 4, I think, and it works there, but yeah, I had to kind of go backwards. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, so we still got to figure it. I think there's just an issue there, but I don't know if they're working on it or not. But yeah, just you can kind of fly through it and show us what you've done. That's cool.
And that's all I did.
Cool. I was wondering, do you have other versions of Unity installed on your machine?
No, I don't.
With the Unity Hub, that's the beauty of it, is you can install more than one version. You might try that. I don't know if you have room on your machine. And you can maybe export that level, right, and then maybe try to import it into an older version of Unity and see if it'll work. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd hate for you to, just do that for nothing, but because it looks cool. I like to see. Have you tried? You haven't tried doing any texturing or anything, obviously.
No, I haven't.
That's cool. Yeah, if you could try to get it into a version that works with the first person controller, that would be cool.
Okay.
So we can walk around it. Yep. Cool. Next. Blaine, Emma, Cottrell. Cottrell, you said you had something going, right?
What? Well, I have it not ready to present yet. So that's all right.
Okay, so you're not ready to present it.
Not yet.
All right. Charles, Emma, Jacob, Blaine.
I can show mine.
All right. Was that? That was Blaine,
It's
right?
plain. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see it.
Okay. And I'm in the most recent Unity, but I went and found a different first-person controller
Okay.
from the asset store. And
Cool.
do you want to see which one it is, or?
Yeah, or you could share a link to it in our notes, maybe.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me.
I think I can.
Notes. Blaine as if from.
See if I can find it again. Yeah, it's just if you just look up first-person controller, it's like the fourth one up here. It's called the mini first-person controller.
Okay. And it's
Yeah.
Is it a Unity? Is it a Unity thing?
Yeah, it's in Unity asset store. Yeah.
Well, I mean, is it created by Unity or is it a third-party thing?
I think it's a third-party thing,
Yeah,
but
it is,
I mean
huh?
it works. So
All right, yeah, that's fine.
I don't know why they haven't made another standard assets. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's weird because it's like 2018, and
Yeah.
I don't get that either. I've questioned that. What does Emma said over here? Couldn't get anything to work because of all the errors and had a busy work week. Been in 2018 now. See if I can whip up something in there real quick. So sorry, I will work. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I know there were some issues, right? So that's fine. So yeah, run it, Blaine, and see what we got.
I'll do the. I'll just run it in the window. Yeah. So weird thing about the door here is it's like invisible from one way, and you can but not from the other way.
That's
I don't
weird.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to. I think you're supposed to push it all the way into the wall or something because it's only one panel or something.
Yeah, I've noticed that it. Yeah, it's a one-sided. Yeah, there's some invisible faces on it. Yeah, that make it kind of weird. Yeah, I think it's supposed.
But
I guess it's supposed to be used in conjunction with other things. I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I got that, and I made a little thing here. I don't know what I'd call this, but it makes cool with the directional light and everything. And I got stairs leading up to a little, kind of like, I think it's like a slide. Yeah, because you actually fall down it
That's
and
cool.
stuff, and come back around. I don't know. Yeah, I just spent a little bit doing that.
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I got hop back up there. But yeah, so
Sweet.
I'll probably if we do this more, I'll add textures to it and do a bit more with it. But
Cool. I like
yeah.
it. Cool. That'll work. Awesome. All right.
Okay.
So Emma doesn't have anything. So Jacob and Charles. What did y'all say? What's the word?
I mean, I can.
All right. Let's see it.
Yeah.
let's do this. Where do you do this at?
I'm not sure on Windows. There should be I have a share menu, and you click on share, and then you share content, and then you can share. Should be a share. Pick a window to share. I'm not sure what it looks like on
got it.
window yet. Okay.
It's like a little arrow at the bottom.
Gotcha.
See, mine was gonna play on somebody's phobia of heights, like my own.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to do that.
It's a good
I was
thing
gonna
to
make
do.
it also claustrophobic as well.
Oh, nice.
I haven't got to finish it yet.
All sorts of triggers.
Yeah. I
Nice.
was gonna add lava to it, but no, won't move.
You'd have a lot of flashing lights too, so the epileptics could be really.
I could do that. Yeah, I was gonna do that in the tubes that I have, but it will not move right now. I have this problem.
You just create just one big traumatizing.
Yeah, I wanted to do something like that, but now like I've been
Yes.
having this problem.
snakes and spiders and.
Does anybody else have this problem where you cannot move? Like I have to restart it. Like it won't move.
Huh. No, I don't know. No. Well, when you're in the game, what do you mean? When it's playing?
Oh, there it goes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. Yeah,
Yeah, your game window won't move around unless it's playing. Yeah.
that was my fault. Yeah, but I wanted to do that. Like you start off small and then you get higher and then higher, and then
So is your-
like even the blocks start to get smaller.
So I'm guessing the first person controller didn't work for you either.
No,
Alright.
I did not. I was gonna add like the lava package and stuff like that, like down here, my texture, all
Gotcha.
that. I was gonna do that for the floor and the terrain, but I could not find a camera to say that honestly. So I probably will try to find out another one. But yeah, like I have like tubes and stuff like that.
Cool. So you haven't installed another version of Unity? You only
No, I have the latest one.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to have several because they have issues sometimes, right? And I don't know if y'all know about it's called long-term support versions, right? Those are the ones that they officially They officially suggest if you're going to release games to stick with those because those are the ones that are the least buggy. And when you go through the hub, they have those listed. It'll say 2018 point whatever LTS. I mean, I think there's a 2019 that's long-term support now too, but you should definitely go with those. Those are the ones that me and Mr. Murray and I kind of suggest sticking with. But having a few different versions in the hub, if your computer has enough space to do that, is wise, so that you can back out of these problematic third-party things that are going on right now. But you could try that first-person controller that Blaine just showed us. Throw that in there. Everybody try that. I'm going to try that when we get out of here. So
yeah, I'm gonna definitely try it. I appreciate it, because I was hunting for that in the asset store, and they just like last time. I forget what class it was. It was like last semester. They took away our 3D first person guy, and I had to throw one in there.
yeah,
His animation was awful.
wow.
It was just bad. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. So let me put that down.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that complicated. I think we could replicate it and make our own if we wanted to. I don't know.
I mean, it's certainly
yeah. I mean, it's not bad.
It's just code. There's nothing really magical there. All of this stuff is written by people just like you. They might have a little more experience, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So, Jacob, you say, have I heard your voice today? Are you actually there? All right. Yes. All right. Let's see it. All right. Do you have audio? Do you have a microphone? Maybe you don't. Cool. Cool. I like what you've done. I guess you don't have a microphone. Yeah, it's simple, but like I said, I wasn't expecting huge things yet, so that's fine. All right. And so Emma can't. Cottrell's not ready. I think that's everybody, right? All right, cool. So that's that part of the show, right? All right. So let's go here. All right. I will start sharing now. All right. The assignments for this week. Let's look at that real quick. If I can find it. All right. Share. Screen. All right. All right, so the assignment for this week is we're going to build on what you've just done, right? If you want to create something totally new because you didn't like that, that's fine as well, right? But the idea, as I told you last week, to look towards doing this so that if you wanted to use it for both, you can, right? What we're going to create as a class is a timed runner game, right? Basically, you start at point A and you have you're timed in how long it takes you to get to point B. Right? There's options there, right? It can either be you have a certain amount of time to get from point A to point B, and if you don't, you die or something happens, like the world explodes or something, right? Or it can be timed, where you have it actually times you how long it takes you, and then you can have high scores or best times for that level or something like that, right? That is open to debate on how we want to do it, and that is part of the what we're going to do here today, right? So, fact is let's see. Is that shared with y'all? Yes, it is, right? So this you should have been invited to this file here, right? The class project brainstorm, right? If you'll go there, that will be cool. Open that file up.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Huh?
I'm looking at my email right now.
Katie's in there.
Let's see.
Then go to your shared with me, because it should be. Let's see. See, there's your name. So
Let me.
You should have access to it. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase that or not, but so it looks like. So Charles, you there yet? So the first question is: do we want to have a set time, or do we want to have a timer? completion. I can get that spelled correctly. There we go. So I guess there's a way of putting a poll in here. Let's see. Timer. Set time. I guess put your name under each one of those if you have a vote. Or I guess we could say don't care. Here, right? You don't care, put it down there, right? And then you can abstain from the vote, I guess. People here. Seven people here. Well, 5 people have already voted for set time, so I guess that's what we're going to do, right? So set time wins because there's only 7 people here, right? So we will have a set time. All right, so the idea is each one of you will create a level for this game. As we create them, we'll kind of look at them each week and maybe kind of gauge. We do need to kind of ramp up a difficulties, right? So you may create more than one level for this, right? Because right now you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, creating just something that's kind of cool and cool to look at, right? As we learn about level design and game design in general, we'll know that the levels need to kind of ramp up in difficulty, and we'll have to assign levels and determine their difficulty as we go along, if that makes any sense, right? So that's something to think about as we create these, right? The first person controller, right? Whoa. Why is it? Oh, man. My Google Docs does this reconnecting thing all the time, and it drives me crazy. I don't know if it's a symptom of my crappy internet connection here or what, but I don't know why. I'm in the middle of typing, and it gets to where I can't type anymore because it's reconnecting, and it's really infuriating. So I don't even know if what I have there is saved yet. You can see it saving.
Yeah, I only see the first sentence right now.
Which sentence?
So we will have a set time, not the idea
Okay.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, well, it just connected, I guess. Yeah. All right.
Yep, there it is.
All right. First person controller. The first person controller you added, I assume it's similar to the Unity first person controller, the original one that it's not physics based, right? Or is it?
No, it's they use time delta time for it. It's more simple than the Unity one was.
Okay. but it can't be. It's not affected by the physics engine, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay, because there's Unity created a first-person controller that the rigid body one, yes, that you can knock around with objects and this sort of thing. But so if we
Well, it does have a rigid body.
oh, it does.
So
So this week we need to experiment with that controller and see what it can do. Right. The thing is, in the past I kind of gave options. I think I'm not going to do that this time. But in the past I had a large enough class where I could split them, and one actually did a runner with the rigid body controller, and the other did one without. Right, which makes a big difference when you have a runner. I don't know if you've thought about this or not, but if physics can act on the character, what you can do, the things he can do in the game are radically different than if it's a standard first person. That standard first person can change direction in midair, right? So what they can do in a platform game is radically different than a character that can't do that, right? So we need to kind of explore this first-person controller and see what it can do, right? So we need to see what it can do. And because we're going to have, if we're going to use that one, and we don't have to necessarily, but that will kind of inform how we create our levels, right? I guess we could also search for other FPCs, right? Or roll our own if we want to, right? So that's going to be crucial, right? All right. Let's see. But for next week, for this assignment, I want you to, let's see.
and the one I found doesn't have a sprint. So, I mean, if we want a sprint, we would have to add it anyway.
Got you.
I was just looking for something to walk around the level with. Yeah.
Oh, I understand. All right. So, where we at? On week 5, these were on week 4 last week, and I had a couple people ask about them because they're studious that way. Because I didn't bring them up because I meant to bring them up. I was going to put them in last week's lesson, but then I had the issue with the Pro Builder colliding with Unity, and I just kind of passed on them, right? And I punted. So these are kind of kits that I created for previous classes that have some stuff in them to get us started. They're actually not as complete as I thought they were. I think the completed versions are probably in my lab at work, and I'm probably going to try to grab them when I go there tomorrow. But if you'll download these, right, and try to import them into your project, right? Let's see. It's this one. Let me, in our notes. There are a couple things you'll have to do to make these work. Importing my assets. These are the standard assets that I imported so that it didn't have a collision. But I had that. You have to have utility, which is not spelled right either. Utility wasn't selected when I imported it, and I got errors because you have to have the utility in there, right? So I imported the standard assets with utility. Is it open yet? Yes. And I haven't done squat with this other than put my own stuff in there, right? You'll need to create a game manager script and attach it to a game manager object, right? The script doesn't have to have much in it, except for, we'll see. I'll open up C# project. And open up that. Because you will get an error when you open up some of this. It'll say there's no game manager and this function's not there, right? So open up game manager and put, it can be blank right now, right? Eventually it will not be, obviously. But you'll see that in my notes as well. You should always have the student notes open, right, when we're doing this, for sure. And so once you've done that, you can import those, and you shouldn't get any errors. If you do, let me know. Right? And you want to tag the player character as player. And that doesn't get us extremely far down the road yet, but if you do that, you can do, let me click on the console. So when we get to that, that's the end zone, right? And you can see down here that it is, in fact, registering that the player ran into the end zone, which is here, right? So this is the end zone script that's already attached to that prefab, right? So, well, the prefab, I didn't show you that, did I? Yeah. In the project, you go to prefabs, you'll see an end zone, and you can drag that anywhere you want it, right? So in here, so you can move that around wherever you want to move it. And you can, obviously you want it to be visible in some way, else person doesn't know where to go, right? But you can change the opacity of it or whatever if you want to. Right. That's up to you. Anyway, that's going to be our end zone, and you should be able to drop that into your level, and make sure your first-person controller, whatever that might be, is just tagged player, right? And that should work for you just fine. Right? All right. All right. So. Let's see. All right, so let's go back to our brainstorm here, right? Without regard to how the first-person controller is going to work at this point, because we don't know, right? Because we have to pick ones. Any ideas on things that we could put in a timed runner that you would like to see? And you can say them, and you can type them as well, so I don't have to play secretary, or if somebody else wants to type, because typing isn't that much fun. Right? But go. Or you can put them in the chat, doesn't matter, however you want to do it. But you have edit rights to that document, so if you want to put them right there, you can.
Well, I think if we're making levels, harder levels as we go. I think we should have some type of maybe a maze. So you have to figure out which way you're going.
Okay.
At least some dead ends. You come to a point and there's a dead end.
That's
I was going to type it.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Certainly. Others.
I mean, since we're going up against a set timer, do you think something that could like temporarily increase our speed would be good?
Sure, speed
I mean,
boost. Yeah,
yeah.
if y'all would type them in there, because I can see the edits on this, and I don't know if you noticed. The other assignment for this week is to contribute to this document. So, yeah, if you'll type them in there, I can actually see who added what, and that will be part of your grade. So, Brian, you can type over mine or add something else. That'd be fine. Just something to stamp the document with your name on it. Would be cool. All right. Others. So that's Blaine and Brian. What are some other ideas? Higher difficulty equals less total time. So you the set time is changes to ramp up difficulty. Is that what you're saying? I assume.
Yeah, like a speed run, basically. Like
That's
if
cool.
you do that, you got like a minute total.
Got you. Yeah, I mean there could be play the game through at easy level, and all the times are fairly lengthy, right? And then once you've completed a level at a certain difficulty level, the next time you play it, it could be the next, or you could select it or something. I guess, yeah.
I also added pitfalls. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. Just like a dead spot. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just like if a player misses the jump or falls here, they die, and it like takes like -5 seconds or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah, death zones is something that we've always added to this, so that's good. Yep. There's several things that are fairly standard. I'm just waiting to see if that's one of them that's always added. So let's see, items like sand that can slow your moving time speed. That's good. Speed boost, items that give you extra time. Yep. Y'all continue. I had to run away real quick because I drank too much coffee. All right, one second. All right, back. Let's see. What do we add here? Collectibles. Yes, that's always something that we is added. Yes, certain number of live attempts. Yes, that's fairly standard as well. Yeah. Maybe if they fall, there could be a platform so they wouldn't die, but they have to run all the way back to the start or a checkpoint, like Wipeout. I do have a nice respawn script. Spawn you anywhere you want at several points. Yeah, that's something to debate. Yes. So. Are we saying they would never die? Is that the object there, idea there?
Yeah, it sounds like the whole aspect, like you die, but you have to like you don't technically. It's not game over. You start from the beginning again, and you got to run the whole thing again that you just did.
Gotcha. Well, that's definitely something we should debate, right? Because that introduces conflicting things, right? So, I mean, if you don't die, then having a certain number of lives attempts. I mean, I guess you could call that an attempt if it puts you back at the first. Is that what we're saying, or is it just a matter of they don't finish it in time, so they don't, the game over, I assume, is if they don't finish it in time, right? Because they have a certain amount of time to get there. Yeah, so it goes like a setback rather than an instant death, because you still get a chance to succeed even if you fail in a single jump. All right. Then, so what do y'all think? I mean, I think if you don't die, if your attempt's not over, then there's no reason to have a certain number of lives of attempts, right? Maybe you only get a certain amount of attempts before game over.
I would say like your idea, like you have this time limit, and it's set in stone, depending on your difficulty, and like you're running, and if you keep messing up in like 1 minute or whatever, how long we make it, once that time is done, it's game over. Period. Like
Yeah, I mean
lives and stuff like that. So lives don't matter. Something like that.
To me, it doesn't. It makes sense if you already have this hard line time limit. Why have some other sort of limit imposed? You know what I mean? This is not to say that you can't, but it just, to me, it makes more sense just to have. I mean, being put back at the start already puts you up against finishing it in time, right? So, to me, that already is the penalty because, having that, it doesn't make sense to have a certain number of attempts to me, but I could be outvoted, right? So, what do y'all think? So, let's see. I like lives better because respawning will up the time limit. See, I like lives better because respawning will mess up the time limit. You would have to add more time because if you don't mess up, there will be no pressure. Why would you have to add more time? I'm not clear on that.
I think that what they're trying to say is like if there's no initiative to like oh my god, I only got this one life, I can't mess up. There's no pressure on the player itself. But I feel like the time limit puts the player under pressure. I think. But, I mean, I don't mind. Like, I'm not against the lives thing, but it's up to you guys.
I mean, I think he was thinking that the time limit was going to restart if you respawn, but no, that was the whole point. Yes. No, I mean, the time keeps going, right? So you now have to make it all the way with that much less time. So it becomes much harder, actually. That makes sense. I mean, that was I was thinking. There's more. There are no rules as to how we do this. Right? We're making the rules. That's the point. And we don't have to solidify all this today necessarily, right? Feel free to visit this document, and I mean that's kind of the point actually. Throughout the week, if you have ideas, right, y'all can get together and knock ideas around if you want, virtually or however you want to do it. And that's what I want you to do over the next week is try to work together to come up with a coherent set of rules, right, that we're going to go with. Right? So we're just brainstorming right now. I mean, I think the fact that we've decided that it's definitely going to be a certain amount of time, right, is enough to allow you to start working on levels, right? And in the meantime, we can brainstorm the details between now and next Tuesday. Maybe you only get a certain amount of attempts before game over. We already said that. Let's see. Is there anything else in here I hadn't seen? Any other ideas that we haven't put up there so far? Like I said, you're free to. This document's open to you, so you can add to it at your will, right? So if you have a great idea in the middle of the night, then by all means, share it with us. Let's see. Oh, and I guess you can't see either of these, right? So make sure you can. All right, so both of those assignments should be visible to you, right? So this week, I want you to build on your Pro Builder assignment, and you can start you can use assets outside of Pro Builder as well, right? So if you find you want to create your own models and throw them in there, or if you find something on a model website like Turbo Squid or one of the others, and you want to throw that in there as well, right? We can do that. But so these are your two assignments. Back to the brainstorm, though. We kind of need to think about to make this a coherent game, right? Look and feel, right? What sort of art style era are we looking for? What do you want the game to look like, right? Sci-fi, fantasy, I don't know, some kind of abstract thing. I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all have a preference there? Because I mean, so far we don't have, what we have now is very basic and doesn't. I mean, I think Brian was the only one with text string, if I'm not mistaken, right? So right now it seems we could go any direction we want to, but we don't want. I don't want a lot of work going into making these levels look great if we're going to have to toss the art out. So the sooner we decide on this, the more coherent and cohesive the thing will look, right? So any ideas? Let's see. I was able to put something together in Pro Builder that's playable. Did you want to show that to us, Emma? All right, so I'll stop sharing so that you can. So, all right, hit us. Oh, half done's fine. Mine doesn't even look half done, so. Here we go. Awesome. Cool. Cool. That'll work. Sweet. Good start. Nice. So let's see.
Mr. Bibbins,
Yes.
I do have a lot of skybox textures that could be used for anything. I have sci-fi ones. I have real world ones. I have cloudy ones. Then they're all ultra high definition. So whatever direction we go, I can supply those.
Sweet. So has large. So you have a bunch of different styles, right?
Yeah, I think I have 12 different kinds.
Where did you get those?
All with different reflection mapping and they're pretty neat.
Nice. Where did you get those?
I think it was somewhere on the store, I think. But
That's cool.
I've been doing a lot of side projects, so I've been trying a lot of things. So I can't totally remember, but I do keep them all. I mean, I have them in a zip file that I can share. So
Sweet.
I've got tons of stuff saved on my computer.
Cool, man. Yeah, that'll work. So any ideas on look and feel then? I'll go ahead and I mean, if you don't, that's fine. It's something we can fantasy. Yeah. Surprised that Emma wanted to go with fantasy. All right. Well, that's cool. Fantasy's good. It sells. Blaine's going futuristic. Katie says sci-fi or fantasy. As always, could be both, right? That's why they combine them sometimes, right? Emma, imagine like a Halo-looking building in a fantasy world. Exactly. I mean, Star Wars was definitely sci-fi fantasy, right? I mean, there was all these sci-fi things, but it was actually took place a long, long time ago, right? There we go. Yes, a platformer inside the Death Star. Hey, it was a platformer, wasn't it? Ropes and swings and everything. Yes. Because we'd have to call it something other than. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be able to release it with the. We don't have the licensing with us, from Lucasfilm, but we could always call it something else, right? The Dying Star, Escape from Death Rock. There you go, Death Rock. Yes. Or the Death Moon. That's no moon. Sure. But give this some thought. I mean, obviously, the Death Star itself doesn't lend to the fantasy element, right? I mean, that's pretty much strictly. I mentioned Star Wars because if you like, there's certain planets that look more fantastic than others, right? Some of them are more futuristic sci-fi, whereas like Dagobah and Kashyyyk, right? They're covered in forest and that sort of thing. They're more fantasy-like. But in the middle of those, you'll see these high-tech things happening. So, but put some thought to that, right? What do you want it to look like? And I mean, if we want a kind of a narrative around it, there doesn't have to be some deep narrative, right? But I know some of you really like narrative, so narrative, right? How many of you are I know that there's a couple of you that are big into narrative, right? So yeah, so maybe knock around some ideas on what the narrative would be, right? Because if we have narrative, then obviously the narrative will have to be progressed through the levels, right? And we have so we have 7 active people in the class right now. Right? These are the people that are showing up. There are 2 other people that should be here, but they're not, right? And that's distressing. Let's see. Actually, Nick shows up usually, so I don't know why he's not here. But I've given up on James. Brian, I don't know. The other Brian E, is not here, and I'm not sure why. But we should be thinking probably 7 to 9 levels, right? Increasing. I would suggest not stealing from Star Wars directly. Right? It can be inspired by Star Wars, but let's create something of our own. That way, if it's something awesome, then maybe y'all can use it later on. So anyway, I want you to think about this. Give it some thought, right? If you have an idea that you really want to tell me about directly, right? Put it here. You can email me as well, right? Send me a message. That's fine. If you haven't used Google Hangouts before, right, it alerts me directly in my email, so and I can message you straight back. It's very useful that way. So if you have a burning idea that you want to tell me about, then you can let me know that way. But I want you to put some thought into this, and for next time, I want you to read chapter 4, and I think that's the methodologies chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, level design, structure, and methodology, right? Which is, if I remember correctly, quite dense. Yes, it's one of the longer chapters in the book, so we probably won't do it all in one sitting, right? Because it's like about 30 pages. But go ahead and read at least half of it, right? And there's a lot of really useful stuff in there, and we'll go over that next time. All right, so let's see. Each level could be a floor of a space station or something, and you're trying to get to the top or bottom to stop something. Like the last room is the room before the control room. Possibly, right? If we wanted variety in the levels, you might. This is my idea, right? Every 1,000 years, runners in every galaxy come to compete. Space race for glory and supplies for their home planet. Sure. I mean, the space race idea, right? There could be a series of races, right? With the first ones being like for the intro race, right? And each one could take place on a different planet. Each planet having its own kind of look and feel, right? So that's a possibility whereby we could allow more flexibility in the art style while at the same time conforming to the narrative. So that's an idea.
And each of us is creating an own level, so it's all our own spin. So that way, each art can represent a different planet, air quotes.
Yes, that's exactly. So I mean, the narrative itself allows for variation in art style, and so it doesn't seem disjointed because the narrative kind of wraps it all up, right? So I think that's a good idea because it allows each of you to show your distinct creativity, while at the same time we can wrap a narrative around it. Cool. So I think that's unless there's any objections to that idea, then I think we'll go with that. Okay, are we thinking that every person makes their level and we play through them to decide whose is hardest? Or are we deciding before who makes each level? That's a good question. I kind of touched on that a little while ago, but I'm going to say yes. That probably a bit of both, right? Because right now I don't really want to limit anybody on what they're doing in that level, and we don't know what people are going to deliver yet, right? So that's why I said you may end up making more than one, right? So don't. It's this level design, so the fact that you end up making more than one level shouldn't be a big shocker, right? So you may make one and then modify it dramatically, or you make several and toss a couple away, right? We'll see. All right. Also, the space race, there shouldn't be death. Maybe the time is the last person's best score, and you gotta beat it to progress. That is a valid concern, right? And we may want to rethink how we're doing the time thing, right? Because if it is a race, you don't have a limit on the time. It's who has the best time. So, what do y'all think about that?
I mean, we can also like lie and say like, "Oh, this other player got this time as well." Like, we could just it could be like the set time of the game, but we can like in the whole narrative of it, we could say other, I don't know, racers or runners have gotten this time, so beat it, or something like that.
So, in essence, say that there's somebody that created this time, but they didn't actually.
Yeah, it was just like a narrative based off of why we gave you this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a few games like that.
Yeah,
I think it was Titanfall 3 or something when you had to run the I guess they're like
obstacle course. Yeah.
Yeah, they had like you had to beat the lowest time in order to get on there, pretty much. And then they had the top 3 or whatever. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. And we could start with that, right? I mean, I think to obviously have actual leaderboards, we have some data persistence that we would have to add into it, and which might be a good thing. I mean, yes, I've played KOTORs like that, right? I mean, there's racing mini games in KOTOR, and it's totally single player, and you're racing against AI. So, yeah, I mean that's a viable option, certainly. But we don't have to rate against AI. Just make it look like it. So we can establish set time. Yes. That's fine. I mean, that is easier than having leaderboards and whatnot, and probably more doable because of that. Certainly, I mean, if we can actually, I mean, you're talking about actual competitors. I mean, gamers are known to be quite competitive, and if they think there's actual real people that have scores, then they think the scores are real people. I think that actually increases the competition, the competitive level of the game. So that would be on the pro side of doing that. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's fake, of course. It's just disguised. All right. That's fine. So we're just beating the goal time. Oh, gotcha. Um, no, my thinking was that it would be other people that have played the game, right? That asynchronous, a race that's asynchronous, basically, right? They ran the same course, and you record their time, and but that's not hugely difficult, but it is slightly more difficult than what we're discussing here. I think we should go with what you all are talking about to start with, and if we can solve that, we can go further if necessary. I think for the purposes of level design and learning it, what you have here is simpler and will serve our purposes. If that makes sense.
It's kind of like with the fake leaderboard. If we have progressions of level difficulty, then if you don't make it into the top 10, you technically can't go to the next level of difficulty or whatever. It's just a good way, like Emma was saying, of disguising the time to beat. I think it's a good idea.
All right, I'm down with that. I like it. All right, well, that is actually our time for today. Are there any questions about what I'm looking for you to do? Most of you have already contributed to this document, so by all means, if you have other ideas, keep contributing, but I will be checking the edit log at the end of the week to make sure that everybody has put something in there at least, right? So if you're not here, you hear me, right? Because I will be posting this tomorrow. And you need to get on this document and add some of your thoughts. Certainly, let's see, are we going to work on our own levels for this week to show next time? Yes, that is the other assignment, right? This is assignment 1 here, what you're doing, this brainstorm. Assignment 2 is to where is it? Pro Builder 3D Time Runner Part 1, right? The other was just Intro to Pro Builder, right? So this is actually, I want you to try to put the end zone in there, right? It won't be fully functional yet, but just get the scripts on there, make a game manager, all that sort of thing, right? I'll be working on a lot of the functionality this week to make sure that everything's ready to go for next week. If that makes sense. All right. So, are there any other questions? I need to turn on the chat here. Did I miss something?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can we combine them, like this assignment? Because we're making a level as is already. So, can we make the Pro Builder assignment relative to what we're doing with this? Like make that our personal level, and then
Yes.
that way, like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week. In fact, when you were for that assignment, I mentioned the fact that we would be creating a class project, and that if you wanted to, you could roll that into this assignment. Yes, so you can continue. Sometimes some people will create something for one assignment, and they go, when they actually know what the project's going to be, they think, well, this is crap, and then want to start over. So that's fine too. But if what you have you think will work for this, and you want to continue, then yes, by all means do so. That clear?
Yep. Gotcha.
How long should our levels be? Should the player be able to keep their time under a minute? That is a good question, right? At this point, I want you to make it interesting, right? Obviously, the level takes longer, then it would probably be one of the harder levels, right? The longer it takes, the higher up the chain of levels you would think it would be, right? So, at this point, I don't want to impose a time limit on anyone's level, right? What I think we're going to do, what I'd like to do, right? Once I get these, I'll put them in a shared folder where you can all play each other's levels. And at this point, we probably, while we're testing and developing these levels, we probably shouldn't force the level to end when the time limit's up, right? We should be timing how long it takes you to get through it so we get an idea what the time limit should be. Does that make sense? So take note, when you play through your level, I don't have a timer in there yet, but if you want to put a timer in there, you should be able to program that, most of you, I think. And you can take note of how long it takes you, right? And make notes of that, and that's what you will use to inform what the time limit should be, right? Something reasonable. That makes sense. Yes. All right. Well, any other questions? Let's see. Those were good questions.
I mean, that example. I mean, we could play each level and just time it ourselves and see how long they would naturally take. One player doesn't have to be anybody. It could be anybody's level. We can see how long it takes to even beat our own level and time it. Try it that way.
That's exactly what I was suggesting. In fact, I mean, you could put a timer in the game to time it, and you wouldn't have to start your own timer. And the time you're gonna have to have a timer in the game anyway, right? Because it's going to be timing you. If you want to go ahead and stick one in there, I will be putting a timer in there of my own. But if during the next week you want to throw a timer in there, but by all means do so. Most of you are in 213 and you've already done a timer this semester, so that shouldn't be a hard ask, really. All right. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm still looking at the notes document though, or the brainstorm. If you have any questions, final questions, and let's see, I'll open the chat too so I can see that. So I hope you're excited about this. I think it'll be fun. I've done this in the past. It would be cool to actually see us come together and actually create a functional game out of this. In the past, it's never really materialized as a fully functioning game, I'll be honest. And as most classes, as I've said in most classes, that's not the objective really. The objective is to learn about level design and the principles behind level design and all that sort of thing, right? And if we learn that, then we've succeeded. But it would be cool to have something to show for it. Right? Let's see. We should find some neat cheering noises and pictures of crowds and stuff like it is a stadium. Cool. I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be a stadium necessarily, right? You have long races. They can just be like stands along the route, right? Or just people that are standing there cheering, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it should be the crowds that are in your levels should be appropriate for whatever the surroundings are for that level. But I do like the idea of crowds. That is something that no one suggested for these before, right? So this is the concept here is unique as far as what we've done in this before. So that's cool. I like unique. All right. Any other questions? And y'all feel free to hang out in that document if you want to and bounce around ideas. But we are. In fact, we're actually overtime at this point. But we're almost completely done. Right. So, any burning questions that you have to have answered right now? All right. This is a big one, but what if there could be like a Megatron in the sky or something that there is a separate camera following the player and displaying it on the screen like a live. Oh, I got you. Megatron in the sky. That'd be cool. I would say that's a stretch goal kind of thing. If we can get everything else working, I would say that's kind of icing on the cake. That would be cool. Who said that? Emma. All right. Good. I like it.
I mean, to have a camera follow the player from up, like, I don't know, way up there, I don't think it'd be too hard.
No.
I think I've done something similar to that before in code. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardly even code to it, really. I mean, you could honestly slave a camera to it just as a child of the player. You would want some code to keep it from being really jarring, right? To kind of buffer how far above it is, because when they're jumping and stuff, they can't. If it's slaved directly to it, the camera's going to be doing this, and that would be bad. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be real hard. I'm just saying it's not central to the gameplay, so I would say that I wouldn't spend time doing that to start with.
Yes, to put it in the nice to have section.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yes, I like that idea there. All right. Any other questions, concerns? I want to stop the recording.